Bonjour, mademoiselle and monsieur. Today on the channel we will be talking about a biography drama history film called Chevalier that follows the life of Joseph Bologne. But the real question is it worth your time and should you be checking it out in theaters? Well, let's discuss it. Based on the true story of composer Joseph Bologne, the son of an African slave and a French plantation owner who rises to heights in French society as a composer before an ill-fated love affair. The film stars Kelvin Harrison Jr., Samara Weaving, Lucy Boynton, Minnie Driver, Sian Clifford, Jim High, Ben Bradshaw, Alec Newman, and many others, and was directed by Stephen Williams, and he really hasn't done films, but he's done TV series like Watchmen, The Walking Dead, and many others. So before going into seeing Chevalier, I honestly was really hoping this film would be really good. I saw the trailer for it, I saw that it was going to be a period piece, and it was going to be dealing with music, and I really love history, and the fact that it takes place during the French Revolution, I was very game to check this film out. And I thought this film was a very entertaining and intriguing film. I did learn after watching this film that he is known as the Black Mozart, and I also learned that a lot of his work was actually destroyed during the French Revolution. This film, it takes place just 18 months of his life, and it also talks about the fallout between him and Marie Antoinette. It also shows that he is a person that has a lot of different skills. He is a swordsman, he plays music, he's in a high fashionable society, and he's trying to really make it work while also dealing with racism throughout the French Revolutionary time. The film starts off with a rather interesting scene as it shows him actually showing up Mozart on screen, and I later learned that this actually probably didn't happen. So it's kind of interesting that they started the movie off with that. And then we get to go into his childhood, which we're only shown his childhood about a minute or two. It shows his father actually dropping him off to this French school, which is a higher functioning school, and he can play the violin. And then we're cut into his adult life, in which we see that he is a swordsman. And then we get to see him kind of go into the French society. We get to see him actually meet his mother, in which she was a slave, and she tells him that he basically is just a tourist in French society. He has dreams to actually be a part of the Paris Opera, and the film, it really focuses on him trying to get to the Paris Opera, as he's been turned down many times, and he wants to put on this really good performance to really show everybody what he's made of. And that's really what the movie really focuses on. His personality comes off very arrogant, yet it's confident at the same time. He's very fond of women, and he really makes the character actually pop on screen. He's also got a very high fashion sense about him too. He dresses really nice, and he really dresses to impress, so I have to give him a lot of props for really standing out. And speaking of the fashion in this film, I thought they did a really good job with the costume design and actually aligning each character to what social status they actually had. The makeup and the setting overall of the film, it feels very luxurious. The colors, they're very pastel, while it also has that elegant style to it as well. And I thought they did a really good job of mixing all of that together and really making the film come alive, actually make it feel like I was in France. And I thought they did a really good job of actually painting that picture of France. The music itself, it's very beautiful and it's very powerful, and it really got a smile out of me. I thought that he did a really good job really actually making this character come alive, actually having a violin and actually having opera, and the mix of the two. It was very interesting to see him actually just kind of bring this alive and really make it feel like I was actually there watching him on stage. If I was back in those times, I would have loved to actually watch him perform, as you can really tell that he really loves his craft and really loves what he's doing, and he's doing everything he can to impress and actually make his way to the top. He has a straight love affair with this woman, Samara Weaving, and this woman, she is supposed to be the lead in his opera musical that he's making after someone actually wrote it, which is her cousin. And I really like seeing this on screen. I think their love connection was definitely there, but I also felt like we got a really small sample size of their love kind of blossoming throughout the film. I wouldn't say it's a bad romance, but I think for what we're presented on screen and the time that we have with his character and her character actually being a couple as one. I think they did a satisfactory job in actually showing that love and making sure that it actually exists and we actually know what's going on, and not feeling like it was really rushed or feeling like it just didn't belong. I felt like that drama was very much heightened throughout the film, and you can really tell that her husband, she is just kind of there with him because of social status. That was kind of a big thing back then. I feel like a lot of women, they didn't have voices back then, so they just kind of shacked up with men and took their money for what it was and really didn't have that say to really do anything. In this case, this woman, she really wasn't supposed to be doing and participating in any kind of opera, as he really labeled his wife as being a harlot for actually doing this. And while that sounds really ridiculous, that was just the time period back then. So you can really tell that men here, they really dominate women and they don't really have a voice. However, there are some parts in here where women, they really don't respect Joseph Bologne. And unfortunately, because of this social status and the fact that racism is living large back here in the 1700s and they don't get those kinds of opportunities that other people would get, unfortunately, we see our main character really go into struggles and really feel like he's not a part of the group. He has this one woman that actually wants to sleep with him, and he actually denies her advances as she's much older than him, and of course he tries to stab him in the back. And you see that throughout this film, where certain social statuses and social classes are actually binding together and really turning against him. So you see that throughout the film, and it was definitely disheartening to see him actually suffer through this, and you can tell that he just wants to be a part of the group. And unfortunately, this is something where he really can't control it because that's just the time period that we were in. As far as things that I didn't like about the film, obviously it's a really small sample size of his life, only being 18 months, so we don't get to see a lot of his true accomplishments and works that he accomplished throughout his life, and also with the fact that he apparently leads the French Revolution. We don't get to see that. That would have been really cool to actually add into the film. I feel like the film, it does spend a lot of time on him actually blossoming this romance with Samara Weaving. While it's not that bad, it has been kind of back and forth that I've seen online about different things that he's actually accomplished and if he actually had a wife or really had much of a love life. I've read that he's had kids, and then I've also read that he didn't have a love life at all. So it seems like that kind of portion isn't really necessarily clear. So I'm not really sure if this love that they actually threw into the film, I'm not sure if it actually really happened. I have my doubts that it didn't happen. I felt like it was just there for actual purposes to really elevate the film and get a little bit more people into the film and have a little bit of a story, I guess, more of an entertaining purpose rather than having the true figure romance that he really could have had back then, if he even had one at all. So if I'm really knocking the film, I would knock it more so on if this is actually true on some of the things they actually put in this film. As far as a film of actually entertainment and enjoying it, I did enjoy it, but I would say that this is a small sample size. If you really want to learn everything about his life or learn more about him, I would say look for like a documentary film or read a book or read something a little bit more about him. I have listened to some of his music on Spotify, and I thought that a lot of the stuff that he's done has been really beautiful. I thought he is a really talented individual, and if I was around back then, I definitely would have watched him actually perform. So I have a lot of respect of what he did back in those times. So as far as a score for this film, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it for the entertainment value. I don't think it's a very accurate representation fully of his life. It's just too small of a sample size, and unfortunately that really knocks the score down to really making it a really, really good film. But I enjoyed my time watching this. I love the period piece about it. I also liked watching Samara Weaving on screen. She looks great on screen. She has a lot of really nice dresses. I'm a sucker for a really nice dress. So ladies, if you like dresses, you'll have a lot of cool, nice looking dresses in this and look really beautiful designs. And I think the designs of a lot of the costumes looks really good in this and really pops on screen. But let me know in the comments, have you checked out this film? If you haven't checked it out, is it something you're going to check out? Thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.